half white, half Mexican-American woman. I visited Mexico for the first time when I was 10 and my sister was 8. It was Cancun. We went with my mom and grandma one night into town away from the resort. They spoke Spanish, so we felt comfortable. I remember there were dirt roads and young children selling gum. My family came across the table in front of a square with lots of silver jewelry sprawled across it. I'm not sure where the Rainstick came from, whether it was sitting on the table or someone else walked up with it. I just remember a Mexican showing the handmade Rainstick to my little sister, and after a minute, my grandma gave some pesos to the person for it. It was 1.5 inches wide and about 13 inches long. It was cylinder-shaped and made of wood, flat on the ends. It looked really old and worn, but it was sturdy. There were 3 colorful bands of twine on each end. If you tilted it slowly to the other side, it sounded just like rainfall. I assumed there was rice inside hitting the little sticks as it fell down. We went back to the hotel with our newfound trinkets. Fast forward to when I was 18 in 2007. My mom and I were living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Plano, Texas. My sister was living in Michigan with our father. The computer desk was right next to the bed, and there was a shelf on the other side of the bed with pictures on it. My mom had been going through old belongings and placed the Rainstick on the left side of the shelf. I was sitting on the bed when my mom was sitting down in front of the computer. I was bored and picked up the Rainstick to hear the soothing sound of rain and bring back memories of my childhood. I thought it would be fun to start shaking it like an instrument and made a musical beat. As soon as I did that, I was in front of a fire circle of black people wearing little clothing. We were all sitting, surrounded by tall grass, no buildings, just out in nature. Their appearance and the feeling there was tribal. I was playing with the Rainstick, shaking it while some were chanting a foreign language I did not recognize. I noticed my hands were black, and suddenly I was back on the bed and my mom and I smelled smoke. It smelled like there was a fire burning in the apartment. We then witnessed a white fog slither up out of the Rainstick. We screamed at the top of our lungs and ran out of the apartment as I dropped the stick. We calmed each other down, thinking about what we should do. I told her the vision I had while playing with the Rainstick, and she decided that we need to find a curandera, they clear spirits from homes. We figured it had been used for voodoo or something and wondered where this thing originated from. We realized that we didn't know exactly how old the thing was and how many people owned it before us. We prayed that whatever came out of that stick didn't follow us to the car. We were freaked out and scrambling through a phone book to see if we could find a curandera. We drove to the Mexican side of town, desperately seeking one, but it was past 10 p.m. and all the spirit and psychic shops were closed. We built up enough courage to return home. The smell of the campfire was gone. I called this fat fuck musician I was dating at the time. His mom was a very well-respected psychic in Dallas. He told me to wrap the stick in a red material and place it in the closet next to the front door. After 2 hours, me and Mama Bear felt uncomfortable with it still in the house and placed it outside our front gate. The next day, one of my sister's friends came by, a Native American dude we referred to as Ashtray. He knew I liked smoking ganja and brought a joint. I asked if he could get a bag of bud for me. He had mentioned he was hanging with a friend that night, but had not brought him over because we didn't know him. Ashtray left to get my sack. I left to walk 2 buildings over to hang with this hot guy I knew while I waited. I noticed the building facing ours was a dude about 16 years old standing by the staircase, staring at our apartment. I assumed it was Ashtray's friend waiting for him to come back. I said, "You don't have to wait out here, dude. You can come in." He didn't say shit and came inside. We were chilling, watching TV. Ashtray returned with a dime bag and we all got stoned. Eventually, the dude I found behind the stairs, he had to take off. He left and I asked Ashtray how long they had been friends. He told me he didn't know that guy, and the friend he had said that he was going to bring into the apartment, he didn't bring. I was pretty freaked out and told my mom about it. All 3 of us opened the door and noticed the Rainstick was gone. We know that creepy fucker took it. My sister came back from Michigan the next day. I described the guy from the stairs and she knew who I was talking about. A week later, she informed me that he hadn't been at school for several days and his parents were looking for him. I had a feeling it had to do with him stealing our haunted Rainstick. And that is why you should never just grab anything, one, because it's theft. This happened about 2 years ago, nearing the end of September. My aunt and her friend decided to fly up to New York from Panama to enjoy their mini vacation with my parents and I. Although many strange and paranormal experiences have happened to me ever since I was little, this event stayed with me and affected me more than the other experiences. Here's the thing, many things have happened to a lot of my family members, especially my aunt and her friend. We'll get back to that later, though. This was around 10:30 at night. Keep in mind that my old neighborhood was a very calm and quiet place. Since I live near the countryside, not much action happens in the neighborhoods. The neighbors were either elderly or young couples with small children. None that could cause trouble around the neighborhood. There were only about 20 to 25 houses in the entire neighborhood I lived in. Moving on, the three of us decided to stay up late and watch scary movies while my parents slept upstairs in their room. My aunt's friend was sitting near the sliding doors leading to the backyard, while my aunt and I were sitting on the bigger couch near the front door. I was sitting on the left side where the door faced, and my aunt sat on the right side of me, which meant I was closest to the front door. We spent about 10 minutes debating on which movie we should watch. After those 10 minutes, we finally chose to watch Odd Thomas, which wasn't really a scary movie, but it was about a guy who could see spirits and demons. What a coincidence. We were only 2 minutes into the movie when I had a sudden urge to look at the door. I glanced back at my aunt and her friend only to see them staring at the door as well. I looked back at the door for about 5 seconds, and then a loud bang came, and then another one following after, and then a third one. All three bangs came from the front door, almost as if 5 people had just body slammed into the door 3 times. I thought it was going to fly off its frame. My first instinct was to run to the kitchen and grab a knife, but as I was about to do that, my aunt grabbed me by my shirt and told me to stay down. As I looked to my right, I saw my aunt's friend with her knees to her chest, rocking herself back and forth while my aunt kept her gaze towards the door. While all 3 of us kept our attention to the door, next to it, there were 2 small rectangular windows on either side of the door. The right window had a small curtain, and the left side was being covered with a small decorative tree. The small curtain had a gap in between because it was glued onto the window from the top to the bottom, leaving the middle part loose. At the moment of the bangs, it caused the middle area of the curtain to pull off slowly and then quickly press against the window, leaving it wrinkled. After that, we were all silent. All of us were terrified. My aunt denied being scared, but at the moment I could see nothing but fear in her face. I wanted to run upstairs and get my parents, but I was too afraid to go up because it was right next to the front door. All I could do was text and call them, but they were too deep in their slumber to hear their phones ring. My aunt told the 2 of us to calm down and dismissed it as the wind. We all knew it couldn't have been, but in order to stay calm, she made up that excuse. And I must say, it was totally cliché. The next morning, I told my mother about the previous events. She brushed it off by saying it must have been a bear or a deer, another cliché thing to say. We both went outside to inspect and found my mom's decorations near the front door thrown off to the side. There were no scratch marks or bumps on the door. Everything seemed normal except for her decorations laying on their sides. When the 3 of us looked at the door the night of the event, there wasn't anything that would have caught our attention since the woods were 40 meters away from my house and we would have heard the trees moving with the wind, but we heard nothing. The movie that was playing at the time, but it was strange how we all felt the sudden urge to look at the door, almost as if we knew something was about to happen. The bangs were extremely loud and caused me to jump up from the couch. It couldn't have been kids playing a prank on us because I'd been living there for about 3 years and nothing like that had happened. Plus, I knew the neighbors well enough to know that they'd never do such a thing like that. There were exactly 3 bangs. One after the other one could have honestly caused the door to fly out of place, but thank God it didn't. What about the curtain? The only explanation we could come up with is that the impact of the bangs created the wind, causing the curtain to react that way. But why did it inflate slowly if the bangs were rapid, and then suddenly cause it to go against the window so fast after the bangs were heard? My aunt thinks that the wind must have knocked off of its course. That's why we didn't hear the trees moving and created huge columns of wind that must have caused the door to move so much. The gust of wind must have gone outside. The gust of wind must have gone inside the house from the cracks of the door, leading the curtain to puff up. Personally, it doesn't make any sense and sounds like total BS to me. She also mentioned that she saw a shadow outside, but didn't have any explanation for that. I didn't see a shadow outside, though. My mother came up with an excuse as well. She said it might have been a deer or a bear. But why would a deer or a bear bang their head or entire body, for that matter, into a door? Like I previously said, there were no scratch marks to prove it was an animal. No animal could have caused those 3 loud bangs. We've had deer sightings in the neighborhood before, but none that have acted in such strange behavior. Usually they would all run back into the woods. Bears are out of the question. Not once have there been sightings of them. I should also mention that we had the light from outside on. Why would an animal come that close to a house, especially a door that is clearly being illuminated by a light? Like I said before, animals in general are out of the question. As I mentioned before, my aunt, along with my mother, have had experienced many unexplained events, and they believe in the paranormal. I think the only reason they tried to make up an excuse for the situation was to prevent me from becoming paranoid and afraid. It's pretty late for that now, since I've had my fair share of experiences as well. Now to my aunt's friend, my aunt told me when her friend was younger, she suffered from really bad night terrors. She said she saw things, demonic identities, as she described them. She'd wake up screaming and crying. It was traumatizing for her. Her family always had been religious, and they prayed for her every night, and slowly those things haunting her went away as she grew up. That really creeped me out and led me to believe that she might have brought or attracted that thing to my house, or maybe it could have been something else. I hope this never happens to me again. Please let me know if you guys think it might have been the wind that could have caused it all, or an animal.